Two big storms are coming to the United States over the next 7 days, and these will bring tons of problems, including the return of significant severe weather, snowfall for parts of the United States, very high wind gusts for most of the country, in addition to the threat for flooding. So in today's forecast, we're going to break down exactly what you need to know about the weather that'll be impacting the United States over the next 7 to 10 days, and we'll begin with what's happening across the country today, and one of those storms is actually forming today back over in the Four Corners states. And this is going to bring some snowfall, even some severe weather, and potential for isolated flooding from the southern plains all the way back through the southeast. And we are actually anticipating some rare March snowfall back over in southwestern Oklahoma and back into the Texas Panhandle, and there will be a few inches of snow for some of those areas. And then back over on the East Coast, things are quiet for right now, but we do anticipate that to change this weekend, if not by the tail end of next week. And then back over on the West Coast, we are dealing with a relatively quiet weather pattern for now, but we are also expecting a big storm in those areas as we go into the middle of this week. There's a lot to talk about in today's forecast, including one of the biggest storms that we've seen all year long. So let's begin with what's happening in the jet stream over the next few days. Beginning with this weekend, we do have a storm system that is moving through the southern plains with a jet stream that is overall coming from the west-southwest, not really going to aid much other than just some moisture. So we are anticipating this storm system to mainly be confined to the southern plains and the southeast between today all the way through Monday. And then eventually, as we go into Tuesday, that'll be one of the quietest days of the week. Our polar jet stream is well back off to the north, which means most of that Arctic air is sitting back up in Canada, not going to be impacting much of the country. And then back over along the southern plains and in the Pacific Ocean, that is where our subtropical jet stream is, which are where a lot of our storm systems are going to originate here over the next 7 days. As we go into Wednesday, there will be a storm system that ejects over the Rockies that'll move into the southern plains. I do anticipate at least a low-end risk for severe weather as we go into Wednesday across parts of the Mississippi River Valley and maybe even the southern plains, but it is going to be a relatively weak storm system. Eventually, as we go into Thursday and into Friday, this is when we're anticipating a massive storm system across the United States. It'll begin over on the West Coast on Thursday, and then by Friday, it'll move over the Rockies, where it's going to mix a bunch of warm and cold air, and this is going to lead to a powerful storm system across the Great Plains, the Midwest, and also back through the East Coast as we go into Friday, Saturday, and as well as Sunday, and it could even last as we go into the following week. So definitely going to be a big storm system that we're talking about. But one of the most impressive things is that this is not just an intense trough, but it is also forecasted to be negatively tilted, which obviously this is about 6 days from now, so there could be some changes to the forecast. But if this does end up happening, we are anticipating a lot of moisture come from both the Pacific Ocean and as well as the Gulf, which will end up leading to a surge of moisture as far north as the Midwest. And this could lead to a large area of severe weather on Friday or even Saturday from the Midwest and Ohio Valley back into the lower Mississippi River Valley. So we are talking about a relatively large area that we need to be monitoring as we go into late this week and as well as into the weekend. And then eventually, as we go into Saturday and into Sunday, the GFS model still has a huge dip in the jet stream, in addition to multiple different troughs that end up forming off of this particular disturbance, which could lead to an elongated period of flooding rainfall potential back over along the East Coast and through the Ohio Valley. And the Climate Prediction Center has already put out a high risk for heavy precipitation back over in the southeast next weekend, which is definitely a concern because many of those areas were hit by Hurricane Helene, many areas still rebuilding, and we could end up seeing several inches of rainfall out of this disturbance as we go into next weekend. And then by the following week, that's moving out. But honestly, I think the rest of March is going to be active for the United States, more than likely seeing multiple different severe weather events. We will talk more about that massive storm that'll be impacting the United States later this week, but I do want to talk about the storm system that's happening this weekend, as it will bring its fair share of problems as well. We do actually have a marginal risk of severe weather in place today from North Texas back along the Gulf Coast, where we are anticipating some damaging winds, some large hail, and there's also a conditional risk for a tornado or two, mainly from East Texas back through Louisiana and into the Florida Panhandle. Generally speaking, this is not expected to be a significant risk of severe weather, but something you might want to monitor today, especially if you have any outdoor plans. Just make sure you have multiple ways to receive alerts. Very, very, very low chance we go live later today, so just make sure you're subscribed to the channel. As we go into Sunday, there's another risk, and that's going to be mainly across northern Florida and southern Georgia, where some damaging winds, hail, and an isolated tornado will be a possibility as we go into Sunday, mainly during the late morning into the afternoon hours. So throughout the day today, we are anticipating a mix of rain and snow in the southern plains, and there will be some accumulation, but mainly in the the Texas Panhandle. Back over in western and even central Oklahoma, there will be a mix of some rain and snow, but most areas are not going to see accumulation due to the temperatures being above freezing. And then as we go into tonight, that snow will shift a bit further down to the south, while showers and thunderstorms continue to push further to the east. And there will be some cold air behind this as we go into Sunday, many areas in the southern plains being in the 40s and 50s. Now, in terms of total snowfall accumulation, the majority of it will be in the far northern Texas Panhandle, where there will be some locations as high as 5 to 7 inches of snow. But generally speaking, the further east and south you go, you're not really going to see much other than just a mix of rain and snow, which will not really lead to accumulation due to the temperatures being above freezing. So areas like Oklahoma City, we're not expecting accumulation. North Texas, not expecting accumulation. But again, there could be some snowflakes out there. We're just not expecting anything that significant. So overall, we're really expecting a very small area to actually pick up meaningful and impactful accumulation. Today's tornado risk will be mostly geared towards the late afternoon and early evening. We're mainly going to be watching this small little area from southeast Texas back into southern Louisiana and Mississippi, where an isolated tornado or two are possible. And then as we go into Sunday, there will be a low conditional tornado risk back over in Florida and maybe as far north as extreme southern Georgia. But again, it's a relatively low risk in these areas. So as we go throughout the daytime today, showers and thunderstorms will continue across the deep south, and there will be a couple storms even during the early afternoon that are severe back over in Louisiana. However, they are expected to be elevated, which means we'll be more concerned about the hail risk rather than a tornado risk. As we go later into the afternoon, we'll continue to see these showers and storms pop up here along the Gulf Coast. By the evening hours, they'll continue to push east, and then by the time we go into tomorrow morning, we're talking about showers and thunderstorms blowing up here across Florida and Georgia. The majority of these are mostly going to be isolated hail and wind. Again, very low risk of a tornado, I think, for tomorrow as well. And really, the main time frame for a tornado will be during the mid to late morning into the early afternoon. But man, this train of showers and thunderstorms just keeps going here in northern Florida, even as we go into Sunday evening. So this is going to create the potential also for localized flooding around Tallahassee back through Jacksonville, in addition to showers and thunderstorms that'll be capable of some isolated hail, wind, and again, still a low-end tornado risk even through Sunday night. This will all move out as we go into Monday afternoon. Now, after we're done with this storm this weekend, we are anticipating more storm systems as we go into the work week. Our first one will be as we go into Monday and early Tuesday, a little Alberta clipper back over in the upper Midwest. The main thing this will actually bring to the United States is colder weather, mainly to the northern plains in the Midwest as we go into Tuesday. Eventually, as we go into Wednesday, we'll be watching for a storm system to move across the southern plains. Again, notice how weak it is. Only a few showers and thunderstorms are in the forecast for Wednesday afternoon and evening. Low-end risk for severe weather is possible. And then back along the west coast, a significant storm system will be ongoing Wednesday with heavy snowfall in the higher elevations and some showers and thunderstorms along the west coast, which is going to lead to some heavy rainfall, which will end up leading to some flooding potential, mainly 1 to 3 inches of rain for most areas. But I think the biggest problems really lie ahead as we go into Friday, Saturday, into Sunday, as we are anticipating an intensifying trough to move over the Rockies and bring the potential for heavy snowfall, severe weather, and also the potential for widespread high wind gusts across much of the United States as we go into Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. This could also lead to flooding, rainfall, and severe weather even as far east as the East Coast as we go into the weekend. So by Friday, the expectation right now is that we'll be dealing with some level of snowfall, mainly on the west and north side of the trough, which should be mostly from the central and northern plains back into the Rockies. And then there will also be some level of severe weather, which I think will begin Friday. Now, the question remains, where will it actually happen on Friday? The GFS model is one of the models that has this threat much further to the east, and it's also much further to the north, all the way as far north as the Midwest. Big problem with this is that it's going to struggle a little bit more to get all that moisture out of the Gulf, since this is so far to the north this early into the season. So I think the risk of severe weather on Friday is a bit questionable, but something like a severe weather outbreak cannot be ruled out at this point, as it's just too early to tell exactly what our environment is going to look like for Friday. And this could also be a bit further back down here to the south and west, and it also could be a bit further out to the east, depending on the progression of this particular storm system. We'll definitely know more as we go later into this weekend and next week, so make sure you're subscribed to the channel. As we go into Saturday morning, the storm system continues to move to the northeast very slowly, producing more snow and as well as high winds in the Midwest. The GFS model indicates a potential for more significant severe weather as we go into Saturday from the Ohio Valley back into the deep south, in addition to the potential for flooding rainfall both Saturday and as well as Sunday, before eventually into Monday this continues to move move towards the east coast. And for comparison, this is the European model as we go into Friday night. Notice how much further back to the west this storm system is, and also how much further south it is. That means that there's a lot of uncertainty right now when it comes to the positioning of this low pressure system, which will make a big difference for severe weather and as well as a winter storm potential, in addition to how high the winds will be, because the pressure here is only 985 millibars versus a 969 millibar low pressure system, which is almost unprecedented, by the way, for March. We hardly ever see storm systems that intense in the month of March, so definitely something that we're going to be keeping a close eye on. And another thing I find interesting is as we go into Saturday, it does show an explosion of showers and thunderstorms from the Ohio Valley back into the southeast, which could lead to a significant severe weather event, especially with how intense this trough is and its trough orientation. It could definitely create a lot of wind shear with this particular environment on Saturday. And then by Sunday, this particular model is indicating a much faster moving storm system than what I just showed you on the GFS model, which basically means the flooding risk in the southeast would be a bit lower. So this is a lot to take in. Obviously, there's a lot of possibilities right now as we are still talking about a storm that is about 6 to 8 days from now. However, this is definitely something that you're going to want to be keeping a close eye on. Make sure to subscribe to the channel. We're going to have daily updates talking all about this, as this will be one of the strongest storms that we've seen all year long. This upcoming storm will be very comparable to the storm we just had a few days ago when it comes to the wind. We could have a large area with wind gusts as high as 50 to 70 miles per hour, and this is as we go into Friday, by the way, in the Central Plains. So this is definitely going to be something to really keep a close eye on, because we could have a big outbreak of flying trampolines, tons of dust as well flying around, in addition to other things being damaged from winds this high in a large area. So definitely make sure you stay tuned to the channel. Make sure you subscribe down below. Again, we'll have daily updates over the next few days talking all about this big storm that is coming to the United States. And don't forget, our 1 million subscriber merch is out at shopmaxvelocity.net. This is one of the best ways to support our channel and what we do here. We have signed hats still available, t-shirts, stickers, mugs, and posters with incredible designs. Make sure to go check it out. Top link in the description below or shopmaxvelocity.net.